Hello, and welcome to the QMS certification channel. Today, we're starting our ISO 14001 to 2026 series by discussing one of the most important foundational changes in the new version of the standard, the harmonized structure. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this video with professionals interested in environmental management systems and ISO standards. Now let's start with an important question. What exactly is the harmonized structure? If you already work with ISO management systems, you probably remember the old Annex SL structure introduced years ago to standardize ISO management system standards. That structure created a common framework for standards such as ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, ISO/IEC 27001, ISO 37001, and many others. The purpose was simple: to create a unified structure that would make management systems easier to integrate. Now, ISO has modernized and updated that concept into what is officially called the harmonized structure, and this directly affects ISO 14001:2026. So what changes in practice? The structure of the standard becomes even more aligned with other ISO management system standards. That means organizations implementing multiple standards will now experience greater consistency between requirements. For example, clauses related to organizational context, leadership, planning, support, operations, performance evaluation, and improvement now follow an even more standardized structure across all management system standards. The structure itself becomes common. What changes between standards is the subject matter. One standard addresses quality, another addresses environmental management, another addresses occupational health and safety, another addresses information security, but the management system logic becomes increasingly harmonized, and this creates significant advantages for organizations operating integrated management systems. Now let's talk about why this matters operationally. Years ago, organizations implementing multiple ISO standards often struggled to integrate systems efficiently. Requirements appeared in different sections. Terminology varied. Processes overlapped inconsistently. Organizations frequently had to create complex cross-reference matrices just to understand how different standards connected. The harmonized structure changes that reality. Now, organizations can develop management systems using a much more unified approach. This improves integration, efficiency, governance consistency, and operational maturity. And ISO 14001:2026 reinforces this direction strongly. Now let's discuss one specific example introduced in the new version. Clause 6.3, Planning Changes. Organizations already certified to ISO 9001 will probably recognize this requirement immediately because change planning already existed within quality management systems. Now, ISO 14001:2026 incorporates this same concept directly into environmental management systems. This is one of the clearest examples of how the harmonized structure standardizes management system expectations across different ISO standards. And this trend will continue across future ISO revisions as well. Now let's discuss the strategic direction behind this harmonization. The new harmonized structure is increasingly oriented toward three major concepts: organizational context, risk-based thinking, and change management. This creates a much more strategic management system model. Environmental management systems are no longer designed only for operational control and compliance. They are becoming integrated governance tools connected directly to business strategy, resilience, and organizational risk management. That is one of the biggest evolutions in modern ISO standards. Now let's discuss implementation. What should organizations do when transitioning to ISO 14001:2026? First, review the current management system structure and compare it against the new version of the standard. This is essentially a gap analysis process. Organizations should identify which requirements already exist, which requirements were modified, and which new expectations must now be implemented. Second, review terminology and clause alignment. Even when requirements already exist operationally, organizations may need to update documentation structures, references, or process integration. Third, develop an implementation plan. This plan should address identified gaps and establish responsibilities, timelines, and actions required for transition. Organizations already operating integrated management systems will likely have an easier transition because many structural elements already exist. Now let's discuss what auditors will evaluate during ISO 14001:2026 audits. Auditors will primarily verify whether the organization successfully integrated the updated structural requirements into the management system. This includes evaluating whether new requirements were implemented, whether processes remain coherent, whether the management system structure supports operational effectiveness, and whether integration between standards is functioning properly. One important concept to remember is this: the structure may now be harmonized, but management system maturity is not automatic. Two organizations may follow the exact same structure while demonstrating completely different levels of operational maturity. And that is exactly what auditors evaluate. Not simply whether the structure exists, but whether the system is effective. Ultimately, the harmonized structure represents much more than a formatting update. It reflects the evolution of ISO management systems into integrated strategic governance frameworks capable of supporting organizations in increasingly complex operational environments. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.